Hey guys, welcome back, and today I want to talk about one of the builds that I have been playing for the past week or so, and I've been having so much fun with. I think it is quickly becoming one of my favorite builds in LE, and I do believe it is one of the most powerful overall builds in the game right now. Good for speed, good for arena, good for tankiness, good for everything pretty much. And I will be just showcasing it really quickly here. It is not a finalized version or a min-maxed version. I am still messing around with a lot of skills and a lot of things about it, but here goes nothing basically. So what you want to do is go in Spriggan form, and you want to cast summon healing totems, and your healing totems will actually be Thorn totems using this node here that gives healing totems cast thorns. So it will use your summon Thorn totem tree, and we're using Thorn totem as a ranged totem that has a lot of range. So we're using the speed and range node here to get a bunch more range out of it. And basically that's the basic idea of the build, and where everything revolves around our totems being range and like dealing a bunch of damage to mobs, right? So we're here sitting at about 500 something corruption. Um, we're also using Silverfrond rings, which gives us a movement ability on our summon vines. So that is like covering one of the weaknesses of being a Spriggan in Spriggan form. And basically, man, this amount of corruption feels just about like 100 corruption, honestly. It is super good, does a ton of damage. Right now we have like the worst modifiers we could possibly have, probably. Like 2 times enemies have chance to dodge and 1 time critical strike avoidance. Um, so our damage, basically this is like the worst it can ever get, and we're still completely obliterating everything that we're encountering right now. This is one build that you will be able to level as soon as level 4 with. Uh, it levels incredibly well up until endgame. I am currently level 100 with it, and it's been the smoothest level 100 I have ever played in last Epoch. Basically, nothing comes even close, in my opinion. Um, in terms of smoothness of leveling and like being able to play the build right off the bat, right in the very first area, you can immediately spec into Thorn Totem and level all the way with this, right? So it feels great. It has good single target damage. I'd say it has like A+ single target damage. It has a ton going for it, and it's very easy to gear for. So let's go straight into what it's how I build this. So basically, we're keeping our rage up like this with these nodes here in Thorn Totem. You get +3 maximum Thorn Totem, and then you gain the mana gain when a totem dies or is unsummoned. So we have 8 total totems right now, and every time we cast another one of the totems and our other ones are unsummoned, we gain the mana back from the ones that are unsummoned. So basically, we're casting 3 totems all the time with Unbound Garden in Spriggan form. So we're gaining our mana like so. So this is what is keeping our rage up, along with Legacy of the Quiet Forest, which gives us 19 rage gain every 3 seconds while in Spriggan form. So we're going with this for our rage gain. We're going with our Thorns Totem, dealing a single projectile with increased cast speed, and then you have maximum enemies pierced. So our Thorns pierce enemies. This is the bread and butter of the build. Single projectile with at least 1 pierce. I highly suggest. And then we go here for more damage, and then a little bit of armor shred, but we get most of our armor shred from Jolra's Obsession. This is a huge power spike. If you don't have these, like, you can still play the build, of course, but you will have much less damage. Um, Still, it does feel good even without the gloves, guys. And then for the speed and range, so there are multiple options you can do here. I choose to go for speed and range, but if you want more damage, you can go like this path here to go for Nightshade Briar, and then you can also go like kind of hybrid between Thorns and Totem Pop with Rotten Core. But I tried pretty much everything here, and I finally set up on using Winged Thorns because the speed and range adds incredible value to your totems while you're clearing monos, and it adds that kind of like um, very kitey gameplay where we have a lot of cast speed, and then like you can just run around while your Thorn totems shoot things, and they shoot really far away. It's kind of like being a better type of build these does, because you have infinite mana and you always cast 3 at a time. So this is the basic setup of the Thorn totem that I'm using right now. For Edra's Blessing, this is going to be cast whenever we use Thorn Shields. So when we use Thorn Shields, we can cleanse. This is mainly used for this. But we also get like to revive our companion when he is down, and yeah, basically that's the main reason that we're using this, right? You can get a couple other healing totems as well, but mainly we get the cleanse and we get to summon our to revive our companions. Spriggan form here, we're using this for a couple of reasons. So our main sustain is going to be the healing totems, and so we're specking into totem increase healing, and we're also getting additional max totem +3, and always summon 3 totems. So we're getting up to 8 totems like so. These nodes here are just to cast summon Storm Totem with the 40% movement speed with our relic that is Storm Carved Testament. So this relic gives us a chance to summon a Storm Totem every time we hit something, and has an 8-second cooldown. Also gives us like spell lightning damage for using you and your totems and stuff like that. So a couple of good stats for totem builds, and we're getting 40% movement speed, which makes our monolith clearing so much smoother. I'm using this for slow as well. I'm using this for chill. You could spec this for more damage, for example, if you go here and you go more damage here and there. But I prefer to go for the slow and chill chance. So that is why we're going this way here, to get our Spirit Thorns to pierce and have a higher chance of actually proccing our Storm Totem. And then we're going down here for the increased armor and the additional Spriggan and Spriggan form. So currently there's a bug where, well, I do believe it is a bug, right? So we're getting our second Spriggan here, and our second Spriggan, if we are in form, if we are in Spriggan form, and we have Death Rattle gives us regain 30 health on minion death. So if you take a big one hit, you get killed essentially, but you don't die because your minion, your second Spriggan, dies, and then you are back to 30 health in human form. So it's basically one-shot protection against damage using Death Rattle and the second Spriggan here. So while it's in here, while it's like usable, I mean I am gonna use it, but this might very well get fixed in a future patch. So that's one of the reason. If we would not go here and like all these points, we could grab like some more thorn shield duration or armor, like increase armor with the shield, with the shield. Since like while we have our totems out, for example in arena or something like this, you could cast more shield on you and get access to like more armor, right? So that is how we're going for Spriggan form. Summon Spriggan, basic here, basic setup. We're going for the spell damage and base crit and crit avoidance. I'm going for the dodge, and then we're making him as tanky as possible. You can put something here. These vines can also like apply poison stacks if you're doing some shenanigans with this here Nightshade Briar, or they can also grab a little bit of aggro from mobs so that you're not getting overwhelmed in like higher arena or something. But they will like either way they'll get one shot anyways. So feel free to put that point wherever you are, whatever you want, maybe into the increased armor for your Spriggan. And then we already went over the Storm Totem. So basically that's how our skills are set up. For your weapon, you want a two-handed Horn Staff. The Horn Staff gives you access to +1 to all minion skills. This is the most important thing about using a staff. And why are we using a staff and not Fair Boars with the ring? Is because we're using these idols here. Increased critical strike chance, added critical strike chance for totems. I will have a planner in the description below with like the ideals, like the ideal setup that is not currently min maxed, but like mostly min maxed. And so it would be critical strike chance for totems, and then critical strike chance for totems as well as the suffix, and then you get the haste for 3 seconds when you summon totem. These two idols here along with the passive and the shaman tree for getting haste chance on totem. So every time you summon a totem, you get the haste pretty much 100% of the time if you have really good rolls. So that is why we're using the Horn Staff with increased cast speed. Increased cast speed will increase our casting speed for our totems, basically, and minion physical damage and minion spell damage. Both of these apply to our totems. The minion spell damage is more effective than the physical damage because it applies to the entirety of the damage that your Thorn totems are dealing, and the minion physical damage is only applying to the physical part that our totems are dealing, and they are mainly physical, but they also have a little bit of extra from other types of damage. So we're using +4 to summon Thorn's Totem here and plus spell damage for totems. These are the two main ones that you want. For suffixes, as usual, you go with something like increased health and then something else there. Maybe endurance, maybe health, maybe armor, percentage armor. Whatever you find fit for your build. We go for this one is actually really nice because this is actually a tier 7 and tier 6 exalted that I found, which is pretty damn cool. We have 10% increased movement speed, which is the maximum we can have for an implicit, and then we have pretty high roll for tier 7 spell damage for totems and increased minion health, which is also pretty good for us because this applies to our totems and our Spriggans, so they will die less easily. We get health and increased health there. Again, increased health is really the one stat that you really want. For the other stats, you can go for something like, if you get something like health, armor, percentage armor, these are all good for you. We go with Legacy of the Quiet Forest because this will give us capped out poison res while transformed, and then with the void res and Jewel Res Obsession, we get capped out void res as well. So basically, these two items together cap our poison and void res, and then we get Legacy of the Quiet Forest is pretty easy to get with LP, at least 1 or 2 LP. So you will want to get something like hybrid health here, increased health, and cooldown recovery speed. I mean, helps a little bit with the Silver Frond to get some more movement out of Summon Vines. But ideally, I would really like to get hybrid health, increased health, and probably something like Element Cleanse on Potion Use. Even though we have it on Eteros Blessing, it's always good to have like one that doesn't have any animation tied to it, because of course we need to actually stop moving to cast Eteros Blessing. So yeah, ideally that's what I would like to have. I just have like tier 5 movement speed on Eteros Path. Just grab any boots. Basically any boots will do. But if you have an Eteros Path, it has a lot of health. And if you can get like tier 7 movement speed and stuff like that, it's really good. Movement speed, hybrid health, you know, all the good stuff here. Jewel Res Obsession, the gloves. This basically makes it so that everything that you craft onto this as a legendary, the stats applies to your minions. So they get the chance to shred armor on hit. With 142 chance here, I get upwards of 1,000 stacks of shreds on single target. So you get the maximum value out of shred. You don't need to build shred anywhere else. You get some cold res, lightning res, spell damage. And the other stat that you might want to have here is going to be frailty. So since we don't have any source for frailty, and like all of our damage comes from our totems, and they are the ones that are attacking, you will want to get frailty on your gloves. If you prefer defense, go frailty. If you prefer damage, go chance to shred armor. And if you have a 2 LP, then go for both. If you have 3 LP, you might want to go for like something like cast speed. So cast speed will apply to your totems as well, so they will shoot their thorns faster. But I highly doubt that those are very common. Okay, so for our amulet, we have the Death Rattle here. Here, what you want to have is a high minion critical strike multiplier. This is fairly important because this is like we have 100% chance to crit, and we want as high damage as possible. So yeah, you want to have as close to 100% critical strike multiplier here. This makes your minions take more damage. We regain 30 health on minion death. So spamming our totems here will give us the minion death every time they are unsummoned. So we get a bit of sustain from this, along with the healing totems that we have here. So Death Rattle, pretty much best in slot. If you have LP, feel free to put something like HP on here, or minion damage, stats that are effective for us. So I am going right now. So I'm at what 541 corruption right now, and I am still rocking my arboreal circuit because I don't feel the need really to replace this with like a just a regular turquoise ring. Um, I like having more movement speed. I like getting the decoy. Like this is kind of underrated, but like the 10% chance to summon an illusory tree when hit creates a decoy that is like extremely overpowered. It grabs all the aggro from the entire map onto this little decoy and enables you to basically clear for free. So I really like this. Eventually, of course, I will probably switch to just a regular turquoise ring that has like a high minion critical strike multiplier on it. But for now, for just blasting monos, I'm using this. Um, I am using the Silver Front. So ideally you would want to have like if you have LP, you might want to have one with like crit avoidance and another one with endurance. Because for example, my blessings here, I'm currently running with the endurance blessing because I don't have endurance on both of my rings, right? So ideally I would like to have armor here instead of endurance and then have the endurance on my items, but my setup is not perfect, and as I said, this is just like a showcase video showing you how you can play this build and how it's actually set up and how it works. Silver Front ring, so we get the good base for minion builds. I tried to slam something on it. I got mana regen, which is completely useless for us. But mainly, the only reason we're using this is because we have a teleport. This is pretty much the only reason I am using this. I'm not quite sure if it's like really needed. You could absolutely go for anything else. It's just if you want the movement ability, you can use this. So this is quite a nice option. Stormcarved Testament, as I said before, this is to proc the Storm Totems to give us 40% movement speed. Pretty much the only reason I'm using this. We get a little bit of spell lightning damage for you and your totems, and lightning pen and stuff like that. But like the like 99% of the reason why we're using this is just because of the 40% movement speed from Storm Totem. Idols, you get chance again haste for 3 seconds when you summon a totem, and then you would want to have like minion crit as a suffix, which I don't have, but I have it here. So this is the kind of idols that you would want to have with high rolls. To get 100% chance to get haste for 3 seconds when you summon a totem, you want to have 33% and 32% on your second one. So it's going to be pretty hard to get idols like this. Here, the most important stat on these Ornate idols is the plus 4% base critical strike chance for totems. This goes from 2% to 4%. The 4% is really, really important to be able to cap your crit. So you want to have this. And then you can use whatever else that you want for the remainder of your idols here. Ideally, maybe something like percentage health and crit avoidance or totem damage. Or here I'm using the 8% necrotic because I am using the necrotic blessing here, so just to cap out our necrotic res, and then here has just like vitality and physical damage. You can basically use whatever that you want. For blessings, what do we go for here? We go you go for health here. There's nothing really other than health that you might want to get for this build. Here there's a lot of options. You can go for anything basically. Like apparently mana becomes pretty important in very, very high waves in arena, according to Bestie that introduced me to this build. But I mean, on here you could probably get like ward per second, ward on hit, health regen, mana. Like there's a lot of options that you can go for here, so it doesn't really matter this one. Here you go for necrotic res. You go for ideally armor and armor here. And yeah, basically that's that's the main thing about the build. Let's go about the passives here. We are a shaman, so we get -5 totem mana cost and 10 attunement and 50% elemental res while you control a totem. So I have no investment in fire, lightning, cold, and physical res at all on my build. So all of this only comes from our totems. So from the shaman and from this node here, resistance per active totem and ele res per totem. This is what caps the entirety of your ele res and your physical res. So So, and the -5 totem mana cost makes it so that we are able to run 8 totems with 2 points in here and gain 1 mana every time that we cast, basically that we cast our totems, right? So that is why we decided to go Shaman. I still need to run the calculations whether Shaman or Druid is better. Of course, Druid can get a lot more EHP. Shaman can probably get a little bit more damage. I need to like run this in a spreadsheet or something. But being a Shaman, the main appeal to this is the -5 mana cost and the ease of gearing, because you don't have to worry about mainly like half of your resistances basically. So it makes it really, really easy. You get free Fire, Lightning, Cold Physical, and then with Legacy of the Quiet Forest and Drill's Obsession, you get Poison and Void Res. So you have Fire, Lightning, Cold, Physical, Poison, and Void covered, and a Blessing for Necrotic. As easy as that. So for the passive tree here, you go 1 point here to get to the increased spell damage and increased minion spell damage there. To go for the flat damage, you want to get as much flat damage on your totems, and then 1 point so that they are immune to poison damage, so they won't insta-die when they spawn in a pool of poison or something. We go for the general increased health here. I go for 4 points here, 1 here, 3 here. This is basically just for the health and the minion health. I grab 1 in here just because I want to theory craft maybe with like dual wielding, and I don't always want to come back to my passives and redo my passive to dual wield. So maybe sometimes I just want to mess with things a little bit. So I just have this one here. If you don't want to dual wield, you can put it in Ancient Skulls instead. And we have Berserker for less damage taken on low health. This does not protect against one-shots, by the way. So it only is effective when you are on low health. So keep that in mind while selecting this passive. For the Shaman tree here, we have penetrations for our totems, so we don't have access to any shred. So you want to get this so that like this penetration is very it's very impactful because we don't have access to shred, which is 50% basically penetration. So yeah, this one is very good. It's much better than if you would have shred, for example, on the build. I decided to go for this, so keep in mind this is all like kind of trial and error, and this is not min-max, but I really like to have the cast speed with active totem, because it basically makes us like a kiting god with like super cast speed. So I'm trying to go with as much cast speed as possible. We'll go for the health here mainly. We go for the spell lightning damage here for our minions. So they get 10 flat here from this passive. We get a haste and the totem cast speed here. So this haste on totem summon. By the way, it is not the chance is not per totem, it is per cast of totem. So that is why you want to have these idols as well. So you get the haste here. You get the minion spell damage plus 16. This is one of the main reasons we go Shaman as well, because it has the most amount flat. And then we go for resistance per active totem and LA res per totem. The Beastmaster, very straightforward. We go just for the less damage taken here. This is like a very straightforward tree that we pretty much always take when you are playing a Primalist. So the damage reduction granted from this when you get hit. We're not a melee build, so we're not grabbing any and bore heart because we're not like melee attacking. But yeah, so that is how we go. And then we go with I go with endurance here with Ticket of Thorns to get a little bit more tankiness, and then attack and cast speed here, basically just to get even more cast speed to be basically a kiting god. And we get the points here to get the all attributes and the strength and attunement. Always good to have the strength for the increased armor, and all attributes is strong all the time. That is pretty much the entirety of the build. So I will just show again another quick echo here. Let's just see what we have here. We have a tier 7 armor. I'm just gonna grab this. 12% added melee crit chance, vitality. Let's grab this. Alright, so again, we are actually, I could go here. Alright, 541 corruption, crit avoidance, chance to dodge. Let's enter this echo. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the build. It is a blast to play. One of my favorite builds so far that I've played in the game. And yeah, yeah, I'm pretty sure you will enjoy it as well. Another thing I forgot to mention is that the totems actually grab aggro fairly often. And I am spamming the totems here because, so I haven't tested this thoroughly yet, but I believe that either when you cast your totems or when they are unsummoned, they shoot at thorns. So since I can cast them faster than they can shoot, it is a DPS increase for me to actually spam the totems here. So very, very straightforward to play. And like we have 2 affixes for chance to dodge and 1 for crit avoidance. We are a crit build and they are dodging. That is why the DPS might seem a little bit like on the low side here. But do believe me, this has insane DPS and you will not be disappointed. Alright, so that pretty much covers it, guys. I hope you have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video.